1. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of the themes here and their characterizations aren't really what happens in the real world outside debate land. So, for instance, opening government, coming up with a bunch of tangent harms, and drawing causality with the romanticization. They talk about people getting pregnant, they talk about it becoming this rite of passage and people being pressured to have sex and grooming and these like beauty standard expectations and stuff. These are all valid harms, but I question the relationship to romanticization, meaning those things are all bad, and I think that I can deal with those separately and romanticization still happening. So, for instance, you have sex education to teach young men and young women what it's like to be in a relationship so that they know that you can get pregnant even if you, I don't know, try and do kinds of silly stuff. Number 2, we think that grooming and all these kinds of stuff are really bad and abhorrent, and I don't think that it's kind of logical to say that these Hallmark Disney movies and stuff exist, and as a consequence people fucking get groomed. Like, that's bad, but I don't really see a relationship between that. If the intuition of that is people become vulnerable, I think that for the reasons CG gave, which shoots themselves in the foot, prove the point of romanticization not being so bad. You have a brain, you have friends, you have social circles, you have other narratives, and all of these things like check and balance these romanticized stuff, which actually make it acceptable. That is to say that if CG is so motivated about that uneducated loser guy who might not be as empathetic and handsome as Jaron is, then that dude really needs a sense of positive reinforcement to know that things can get better. Because if you run CG's mech on that guy and you tell him, bro, relationships are like this, the girl does this, the guy does this, we have 4 structural reasons why, it robs the guy the entire capacity to experience the whole thing. Yes, if this guy who might be a bit misguided watches this movie, we think in a moderate case he might get inspired. Again, let's just fucking vibe check it. Have any of us and our partners or soon to be partners become absolutely delusional because we watched High School Musical, because we watched 50 First Dates, because we watched any kind of giddy butterflies in the stomach kind of thing? Probably not. But sure, let's be engaging. So OG doesn't say, or CG doesn't say, not being comparative, na. Even if you were to be deluded by that thing and fixated on that linear process, it's still better than on your side where people might not try at all because it becomes really scary and difficult, or on CG's paradigm, a fucking chore or like a lecture when they expect them to like, this is what's gonna happen, it's gonna work. I'll do it and I'll take it in a bit, Jara, and I'll take OG first. Benj, go ahead. Yeah, bad things can happen, but that's part of life. As opposed to on your side where you like coddle them or you like make them so woke and cognizant to the bad things that they don't try at all. It's the whole J.K. Rowling thing. Like, if you live your life so cautious and not wanting to fail, then you've failed by default. Jaron, go ahead. I'll take your POI. Yeah, but that's where my partner's case comes in, of maturity being a consequence of knowing what's nice. Because we're not saying people on our side won't get hurt. That's our nuance to teenagers. Meaning, even if you look at it in a delulu manner or in a romanticized manner and you fail and you fuck it up, you can keep trying again and again and again. Because on your side, what happens is that they might not try at all, or even if they do try and they get upset and you give them that TED Talk debate speech about how relationships really are, then they might not have the passion or motivation to try and again. The heart of CO case is that romanticization, despite how all the teams want to frame it, is not that bad. And even if it were bad, you have the opportunity cost of time to be able to quell with that. How do we win over OG? We solve their problems for them, meaning sex ed is the solution to the pregnancy thing. I don't know, talking with the police and the local governments to crack down on groomers is another one. And having a good set of friends, an educational system, and decent parents to let you know that you are beautiful, even if you might be a bit on the bigger side or might have a different color skin than the average. Yes, despite watching a lot of these romanticized films. Opening opposition, I agree with CG, was a bit too negative and they took it a bit too far. We on CO are taking a relatively fair and easier to prove burden in terms of this not wrecking the life of people and it being relatively a decent experience no matter how much they try to do it. And in terms of CG, we're able to take care of the very stakeholder that they care about, the guy who doesn't want to try. Because again, that dude who doesn't want to try, it's for like a lot of reasons. He might not be comfortable in his own skin, he might be scared of failure, yada yada yada. And these are the very people who need to be able to have hope and belief, not just in themselves, but also in the situation. Meaning, I might be shy, I might be like this, but there's someone out there who's meant to be for me. And again, in the worst case where there's none at all, we rather have these people believing that things can be done as opposed to given this speech and talk about how it's bad and how it's probably not going to happen, because that's just less fun, it's mean, and you rob them the maturity and capacity to be able to go through those experiences. We on Closing Opposition were fairly more realistic, and we cater to the very stakeholder of this debate, people wanting to get into relationships, and we think the lens of looking at it should be that it's better, even if it's actually not. Proud to oppose.